Hola traders, bienvenidos a una nueva charla con otros traders. Sabéis que en ese tipo de contenido intento traer aquí al canal para que podamos hablar con ellos a diferentes perfiles del mundo del trading, de la inversión, en general de los mercados. Y hoy es un día muy especial para mí porque voy a hablar con el mejor trader de Forex para mí del mundo. Alguien que, como veis aquí en pantalla, tiene un track record de los más increíbles que he visto yo en mi vida. Gestiona 30 millones de dólares actualmente y tiene un track record de más de 10 años. Además, como veréis a lo largo de la charla, es un trader que hace un tipo de trading muy poco visto, y es que opera noticias, exclusivamente noticias. Ya ha conseguido convertirse en el top 1 de los gestores que existen a día de hoy en Darwinex. La charla es en inglés, pero la tenéis traducida en subtítulos abajo, así que espero que la disfrutéis muchísimo. Y os dejo ya con Aatu Kokkila, gestor del Darwin THA en Darwinex, para que nos cuente cómo es su trading, cómo se llega a gestionar 30 millones de dólares y todo aquello que nos pueda ayudar a mejorar un poco más en nuestro trading. Hola Aatu, ¿qué tal? Bienvenido, de verdad, gracias por estar aquí en este canal, significa mucho para mí.
Hola, it's my pleasure to join the podcast and yeah, looking forward to our conversations.
Muchas gracias, de verdad. Lo primero que me gustaría hacer es, seguramente mucha gente en el canal te conoce, ¿de acuerdo? Pero para intentar hacer que la gente que no sepa quién eres te ponga un poco en contexto, ¿puedes explicar quién eres, de dónde vienes, cómo has llegado hasta aquí?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to keep it short. So I have traded and researched macroeconomic events for 12 years. I've gone from a retail background to manage a usage fund in between, in lieu to providing a trading signal at
Ujú.
darwinex.com for the past 3 years. Actually, we've been operational at Darwinex since I think 2006, 2017,
Ujú.
but we've been exclusively focused on Darwinex since 2021, I think. So
Qué
that's the
bueno.
background in brief.
Puedes extenderte todo lo que quieras en ese aspecto, ¿eh? Por ejemplo, me interesa mucho saber cómo fueron tus inicios concretos, ¿no? ¿Cómo conociste el trading, por ejemplo?
Yeah, so I, I started trading in 2000. Well, I actually, if to go really far back, I think I learned about trading when I was 15,
Hey.
just playing World of Warcraft at my mom's attic. So I learned about trading, and I thought it was incredibly boring. I thought that why does someone, uh, get interested about this and so on. And now I understood that there's a lot of money involved in
Ujú.
trading. But back then I just had a look. I had my mind squarely set at gaming. But yeah, 4 years after, obviously I matured a little bit, and then I got a tip from a friend who told me that because I was a really good gamer, that I should take a look at trading because there's a lot of parallels.
Ujú.
Um, and yeah, then I picked up. Fortunately, my first books were, I think, the Market Wizards series, and that's when it really picked my interest. When I kind of learned about it, all the emotions and everything that's involved, and I kind of made the conclusion myself as well that there is a lot of parallels with gaming, and this is probably something I want to do after my sort of quasi gaming career. Obviously, back then, gaming wasn't actually a realistic career
Ujú.
choice, even though I mean, there was like 11 million people playing World of Warcraft. It was like at peak times when I was playing,
Oh.
and we were one of the best teams, best at the point in the world. But it still wasn't too realistic career choice because YouTube wasn't really a thing. Um, and yeah, it was just difficult to monetize on it. There were
Ujú.
no Twitches or anything like
Ujú.
that. So even though I released videos with like 3 million views, I never got nothing out of it. But yeah, it was a great experience, and yeah. So that's the early beginning
Ujú.
background. Then I started trading in 2012, got incredibly lucky because I basically was trading during the European debt crisis, focusing on euro dollar, lots of volatility. So it was like an easy time for a novice to start out. A lot of news related volatility as well. There were trends in FX, and now everyone knows that FX is very um, the regime varies significantly in FX. So usually when you have more volatility, the easier it is to trade, and
Ujú.
same with the trends, and same with whatever instrument choice you pick. Let's say I think if you pick like cryptocurrencies when they were trending, a novice could make money with those. The same thing with stocks and so on. So I started a good time. One of the rare people who were by sheer luck profitable because of getting at the right time in the right place. But yeah, I learned about news trading and events. I kind of like I saw that they moved. That's when the market moves, and when there is a speech or headline and so on. So quite early, I thought that like if I was curious to pick out like why is the like what is the underlying reason why is the market moving. So I did start studying it already like around 2013, 2014, creating sort of rule sets. Obviously, I was progressively learning. I was studying at the school at the same time at the university, but I was progressively like I since I made okay money from get-go, I thought that this is probably what I want to do with my career. So I started learning, started studying more, and progressively kind of added information, and yeah. Then I think in 2014 I had come out with the idea of the purely event trading track record, but I had huge swings in my equity. So obviously really good returns, but the drawdowns were terrible as well. I figured that you are not going to like my aspiration had become that I want to be a hedge fund manager at the point. So you're not going to sell something that has a 40-50% drawdown. So
Wow.
if there is tail risk that you can go under. So so yeah, that's the gist of it. That's the background of kind of the tail strategy. And then obviously in 2015 I started implementing the rules and the logics and the research I had done on the track record. And yeah.
Wow. Has mencionado el tema de World of Warcraft, ¿no? Y que hay muchas cosas que se pueden trasladar al trading. ¿Qué cosas crees que son las que se pueden llevar?
Well, the most important thing is that obviously both of them work really well for someone who is really introverted, and you can do it from your own home. You don't need to see anyone. And I was like that both as a kid and at early 20s. So that portion I absolutely loved about it. Also, both of them have this in in both gaming and in trading, or basically anything that you're doing like competitively. I think it applies to sports, even poker. You kind of like you have certain learning curve, and if you are really passionate about what you do, you are willing to put down the work, and you literally basically obsessed about it. You're going to be thinking about it all the time. You're going to be thinking, can I improve on this? How can I get better? And progressively seeking out like naturally for more information, how I can do things better. I think that's an important part on both gaming and in trading. So for example, in gaming, I used to watch better people than me who played, and I would model them, emulate their strategies, and then once I got progressively very good at playing, I would then start developing my own strategies. So I kind of like intuitively repeated the same process with trading, studying better people, more knowledgeable people, getting more information. And yeah, I think those two, I guess, are the most important parallels in gaming. They fit really, again, really well for introverts, and yeah, the learning process is kind of similar. Yeah.
That's great. Haces también algunas cosas que me han parecido muy interesantes con respecto a el hecho de tener role models, ¿no? O sea, alguna forma de ver a otros traders para poder aprender de ellos, como en el gaming, ¿no? De ahí también a que me gustaría sacar el tema de Darwinex, porque al final tú eres ahora mismo el mejor trader de Darwinex, de la plataforma, y ¿crees que de alguna manera cuando tú empezaste te planteabas la idea directamente de ser gestor de fondos y de tener esos referentes? ¿O cómo fue ese aprendizaje hasta que llegaste al punto en el que estás a día de hoy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if role model is the right word, but still like studying certain people that kind of resonated with me, but very carefully, whatever they wrote. Ray Dalio, for example, he on his like obviously the way I trade is very short term, but what really resonated with me was the sort of macro trading, macro studying history, understanding what's happening in the markets, so that you know what's going on, and you take your bets based on that. So that I think yeah, his kind of thinking was probably the most important. But then, of course, I learned a lot from several. I think you can pick from any lessons from any successful traders. Tudor Jones, for example, I think was in the Market Wizard series. His interview that I absolutely loved, and yeah, there is so many, but I just can't call them out top of my mind. I think that in general you can, from anyone that has been successful in trading, if there is some parallels the way you trade, you can pull out some lessons.
Pero entonces el aprendizaje que tuviste fue autodidacta en el aspecto de simplemente buscar referentes fuera y aprender por ti mismo practicando, o tuviste algún tipo de formación concreta?
No mentors, unfortunately not. I think if I had mentors, it would have smoothened the process significantly. But no, I've never had any mentors. So I've learned it I stumbled by the event trading way of trading by myself, by sheer observation, and I guess by luck and like natural curiosity. But yeah, no mentors. That being said, I think I could have benefited from them at the early stages. And even, I think something that like even back when I was running a usage fund, the problem is that the trader can, if you are only inside your own head and you are not talking with anyone, you're not getting, alternative opinions, alternative angles, it's not nearly as efficient when you have, team of kind of I wouldn't say like-minded is the wrong word, because you actually want people whose qualities support each other, but in a certain way share the similar qualities, like open-minded people thinking about what's moving the markets, discussing, thinking about trade ideas. Even if you disagree on a trade idea, you might still walk away with fresh angles, and because in trading, you are going to be wrong so often that it really helps to have, you need to be very humble about it. And sometimes, when someone else has a different opinion, you have to reflect whether that opinion is a better opinion. Do I need to change my opinion? And that's like the healthy process when you approach like trade ideas. So yeah, no mentors, but definitely I think it's much more beneficial to have people around you talking about trading. And of course, when you're at an early stage, or even past, let's say if I wanted to study a new market or something like that, I definitely would seek out someone. If I wanted to be an equity investor, I would seek out someone who knows about equity investing, right? Because that's a significantly faster way to smoothen the learning curve than trying to, figure it all out myself.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Sí, además luego, si te parece, seguramente a la gente le interesará muchísimo. Hablaremos un poco de la formación, de cómo ves tú el entorno del trading, porque no sé si estás un poco al corriente, no sé si cómo te mueves mucho por las redes sociales del trading, pero hay un poco de problemática con los cursos y con la educación. Entonces, luego, si te parece, podemos hablar de eso.
Yeah, absolutely. Open to discuss anything.
Ok, perfecto. Entonces, siguiendo un poco con la trayectoria, me parece muy curioso también el tema de que llegases a la parte de la operativa fundamental, ¿no? Con eventos, con noticias. No es muy común. Es decir, creo que eres igual me equivoco, pero eres una rara avis, ¿no? En el sentido de no hay muchos traders que hagan un trading tan efectivo como tú operando eventos, o al menos que tengan track record abierto. ¿Cómo llegas a ese punto? Porque la mayoría de traders no hacen ese tipo de operativa. ¿Cómo llegaste tú a ella?
Yeah, I think because of that misconception, that is one of the primary reasons why we have such a good track record. I think like there is event trading is like, or news trading is like, I don't like to call it news trading what we specifically do, because it has like a connotation that you trade these spikes, because what we really are doing is understanding these news and marrying our understanding about macro in general to trade the events. That's why we call it like event-driven macro. But yeah, I think I recently had a chat with like a semi-professional technical trader, which was really interesting chat. And he said, like, I was asking him like, why don't you incorporate fundamentals in your trading and news in general? Because let's face it, I mean, news are what moves the market the most. So he said that because he didn't have a framework to really start studying it, because he felt that there is too much, and because he just genuinely didn't interest him. I thought that makes total sense. I think the problem is really that it is really difficult to develop like a framework, and nobody is offering any information
Yeah.
about this. So that's why it's very difficult to start, because there is so much noise about news. You have FT articles that say that gold is moving up because of Fed easing, and it has nothing to do with the Fed easing. Why gold is moving up, and so on. So yeah, I think like for me, what really just got my interest was that when I saw that market move significantly to this, I thought that it was intellectually challenging. I thought there was money to be made there if I kind of understood them. That's what gravitated me towards this style of trading, and yeah, I'm really passionate about it in the sense that every day is different. Every like you learn a ton about studying history, but you need to use that knowledge to come up what's different today, and then come up with an angle how to bet. So yeah, I guess that's the
That's
short
amazing.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah. ¿Y por qué en este caso divisas, ¿no? ¿Operas divisas sobre todo? ¿Qué mercados operas, por ejemplo, y por qué decidiste operar ese tipo de mercados? ¿Es debido al estilo de trading? Es decir, ¿escogiste primero el estilo de trading y luego el mercado porque iba correlacionado con ello? ¿O cómo fue ese proceso?
Excellent question. And if I could go back in time 10 years, I would not pick currencies.
Ok.
Uh, Currencies, because I started in currencies and I did my research, and we still have done all the research. We have studied over 4,000 events that in currencies. So of course, Warren Buffett has this really good term, circle of competence. So you want to stay around that, where you have actually done the work and understanding. That being said, the way we study events is really time consuming and research intensive. So we haven't made the pivot yet, because we didn't simply have the team, or hadn't hadn't. We have tested hiring traders, but we never got to the level that we would have been comfortable with the traders we worked before, that they would be capable of running the strategy, the same principles on the different instruments. Because I know for certain that bond markets are probably the best place to implement monetary policy bets and data event bets. Why? Because they move very cleanly. So, for example, in USD yen, or let's say euro dollar, you both have the Fed is easing monetary policy and the ECB is easing monetary policy. So that's why it can be very choppy to fundaments, because these different drivers are pulling to the same direction. Now, in the bond market, if the Fed is easing and that's unexpected, that's usually a negative for bond yields. So that's why they are a lot cleaner. But that's definitely something on the agenda at some point once we get there, to add those instruments. But it takes time. It takes time, and obviously our aspiration is to build our team, find right people to trade per our sort of rule sets over the long run, so that we can actually take the step to other markets as well. Yeah.
Ok. ¿Y cómo, en este caso, cuando operas, por ejemplo, seguramente mucha gente se pregunta cuál es, al escucharte, tu proceso, ¿no? Por así decirlo? Porque entiendo que no se puede hacer el mismo estudio, porque has mencionado estudio en el pasado, que un análisis, alguien que haga análisis técnico, no puede hacer un backtest al uso. ¿Cómo es ese proceso cuando tú analizas el mercado?
Well, it's not actually that different, in a sense that what we have been doing, of course, when we have studied those events, that is a form of backtesting. It's just labor some manual backtesting. We have tracked all the events, or I have tracked, and then our team has tracked all the events that I have traded. That's over 1,000 events. So we sort of have backtest data which we use to derive our decision-making rules, which are systematic. The rules are systematic. The way we take risk, the risk parameters are set in stone. Our entries are systematic. The only part that is quasi is obviously I'm executing the trades discretionarily. But even then, we are using an execution script that appropriately fractionates the orders. So it's not that far away from sort of the normal technical analysis process that you pick, let's say, a pattern and you backtest that and go back to history. I think I think it shares a lot of similarities in that sense.
Y me viene a la cabeza la idea de cómo se logra robustez con eso, ¿no? Porque en muchas ocasiones cuando me enfrento a una estrategia, ¿no? O conozco traders que operan de manera sistemática y lo hacen en backtest, se encuentran con el problema de lograr robustez, de intentar que los eventos que ha recogido en este caso sean realmente lo suficientemente significativos y representativos como para que eso dé validez en su toma de decisiones futura. Los eventos, en este caso lo que tú utilizas, las noticias o como lo puedas ver, no son muy independientes, se correlacionan entre ellos. ¿Sabes qué quiero decir?
I think this concept is something that is a bit difficult to elaborate in short, but there's always the market expectations and what's priced into the market, and that's the first step you need to always understand about fundamental, what's already in the price, and what's not. So in our process, we study those events. We categorize them. We always do like a scenario analysis, and we categorize them into 5 to 6 scenarios, what could happen. And our conviction levels vary based on how do the decisions, let's say, for example, deviate from the expectations. Then we can compare to history similar kinds of events. Now, there is a lot of study you need to do, like studying these events and study today what is different. Sometimes technical drivers might be, let's say, or positioning that's impacting it today that is different compared to past. So you need to factor these things in. No event is never the same, and I think that's why algorithms often fail trading the events, because the markets change, the regimes change, so that's it. And one another thing is that you can have a sample. I think on event trading you can have a sample set of, let's say, 1,000 US CPIs, for example, and you are still going to be. It's going to be very difficult to figure out a trading strategy that actually delivers alpha on that, because the regimes and the way the US CPI moves the market changes based on where what the Fed is doing, where they are in terms of their cycle. It might be a complete non-event at one point. It might be a huge event like past 2 years, and it might be then diminishing on importance. Like if inflation is now actually staying lower, it's probably going to diminish in importance. Now, an algo, a backtest probably might not capture these logics always. So yeah, I think like you can definitely look at sample sets, but you cannot go like, okay, I have 200 samples of exactly event being like this and derive conclusions. You cannot deliver that kind of certainty. However, you can deliver very high certainty and high, like when you assess, let's say we have the 1,000 events and we assess the qualities of our high conviction bets, where we almost have like 95% probability of winning. Of course, they just end up happening very infrequently. So that you can assess. Then we can go back in the data that these qualities, these characteristics are what are the characteristics of a high conviction bet. Here we should be betting more. And then, of course, the conviction decreases the lower the probability of winning.
Y ese proceso, ese momento que decides, es ese último punto en el que tomar el trade dentro de esa información, ¿es algo que decides tú de manera discrecional absolutamente con tu poder de decisión? ¿O tu equipo de alguna manera y tú tomáis cierta inteligencia colectiva, ¿no? Es decir, al final tomáis la decisión entre todos, sé que la pregunta es un poco compleja, pero quiero decir, imaginemos, tienes esa acumulación de eventos, esa acumulación de datos, el momento en que tienes que tomar la decisión de hacer el trade, que has dicho que es un poco discrecional, ¿no? Que es quizás la parte más discrecional. ¿Eso es decisión solo tuya o hay más factores ahí que influyen como un equipo o otro tipo de aspectos?
Yeah, so basically we always prepare a trading plan for an event and the scenario analysis, and then we have like predetermined risk and predetermined signals. So what we actually do is I have an analyst, or we have an analyst who interprets the events. We want to separate the trading and the interpretation process. So originally I did this all myself. That was a lot, and I know there are traders who still do it and are successful with it. You can be successful with it. I just think this is significantly better way that you separate the decision making sort of processes to two. That an analyst reads the event, determines the scenario, and the trader executes the trade, which is me. Of course, I'm aware of the signals and
Yeah.
so on, but there is so much going on in the first minutes of the event that that's the best way of the process. Those are the faster trades. Of course, there are slower. Most of the trades are actually slower. So there's this huge misconception about news trading that you need to get in
Yeah, yeah,
fast.
yeah, yeah.
It's not like that at all. If you understand the event, sometimes it can take a lot time to understand the events. And yeah, then we just take the time to interpret it, carefully think together what's the scenario, what's the risk based on our framework of risk taking and so on. So yeah, that summarized. That's the majority of the bets actually. So I don't know why I explained the quick bets initially, but the majority is actually the slower bets, understanding the signal and then studying. But yeah, I think for the first minute, it's important to have the trader slash analyst separation.
Qué bueno. ¿Y cómo se consigue confiar en alguien para que haga eso, ¿no? Porque al final, tú como trader eres el responsable, de cierta manera, al final de... Y luego hablaremos un poco de la gestión de capital, ¿eh? Pero quiero decir, solo como trader, ¿no te resulta como muy difícil confiar tu toma de decisión, entiéndeme, parte de ella, en un analista o alguien que haga ese análisis por ti, aunque tú estés encima de ello? ¿Cómo se delega eso? ¿Te costó? ¿Fue algo difícil? ¿Algo fácil?
Well, first of all, with the current, obviously the investor base, we I would never delegate that at this stage. Like we actually were trying to find. We were working for 2 years with a trader to train him potentially to trade on different markets and trade per the rules. And ultimately, while he was a really good trader, we had to let him go because his trading style didn't fit the kind of fundamental way of thinking, and he had his own background of technical that sort of only technical trading in different markets that wasn't too compatible with the way we trade. But I wouldn't delegate the trading of our, of course, our flagship strategy, but I do think there could be, like at the point after several years, once we accumulate evidence that, let's say, we have a couple traders trading for us per our rules, we accumulate evidence that these traders have now been trained and they do a really great job. And you have incrementally added them, you have given them risk because somebody might do a great job with 50K account, but give them a 1 million account, they will, they will blow up, do something stupid. So that's why you need to incrementally test and add. And once you see that they can actually deal with the pressure, that's the moment that you can really start adding capital and giving responsibility. But at this stage, we are still quite far from that. Even though we are working with a couple of traders that I'm training at the moment.
Wow. Y si vamos hacia el lado un poco más de estadísticas, porque podemos, luego mientras hablemos podré poner por encima del vídeo tu Darwin para que la gente vea las estadísticas directamente, pero me gustaría preguntarte sobre, por si alguien está un poco perdido y no ha visto tu Darwin todavía, que tú buscas ratios concretos cuando operas o win rates concretos, o simplemente ejecutas tu operativa y la gestión misma del trade en sí mismo es la que te da el resultado final, el outcome.
Yeah, I mean, the way we approach win rate is we look at, in terms of scenarios that we are training, what is performing and so on. And I think that's really the way we see that, let's say, some type of a scenario for a given central bank event is not performing well. Of course, we make adjustments after a period of time. Of course, we revisit our analysis at that point. That is something off with our convictions. Did we do something wrong here? To why this is not working like it may be used to. But per se, we don't study like win rate. Like don't use it as a, let's say we have. Well, our win rate is a little bit lower actually for events because we manage risk quite aggressively during the events. We want to be profitable relatively quickly because by definition, if we got the reading of the event right, it moves our way relatively fast. So yeah, but I think our average win rate per event is somewhere around 45%. So of course we do look at like what kind of events should be taking away from that to increase our win rate. And we have, of recently, for example, since we have seen that our lower conviction bets haven't been working so well as in the past, we have decreased the volumes we have been trading on the only high conviction. So seen in the past 2 months pick up in performance because of that, for example. So we
Mhm.
do modifications, but it's a quite complex topic because you have to factor in how the regimes impact in certain regime. Mean reversion events work really well. Certain regime momentum events
Mhm.
work really well. So you have to be aware of these dynamics.
Ujú. Claro, porque a mí me viene a la cabeza sobre todo el cambio que puede haber de un trader independiente a un gestor como tú, en este caso, que ya, no sé si lo ves así, pero no solo tienes que pensar en qué tipo de operativa tú quieres realizar, en el aspecto de win rate o de ratio, que la que quizás los inversores pueden llegar a percibir. Porque una estrategia con un win rate bajo, aunque la estrategia sea ganadora, puede llevar a que haya periodos de estar flat o estar estancado sin generar nuevos máximos mucho tiempo y los inversores pueden irse. ¿Tú eso lo contemplas cuando operas y quizás reduces el número de trades? ¿Cómo es ese pensamiento desde un trader independiente a un gestor?
Of course, there's a significant mindset difference when you're managing other investors' capital. It's a significant factor, and that's why I think most people will do better managing their own money.
Ujú.
There's a significant responsibility related to it. I think for me personally, because we have such a strong sort of process, it has no impact. Because I know that I'm taking these bets on my own capital as well, and we've been doing it for a long time. But it's really easy to underestimate the impact of managing capital. I've seen it happen many times that somebody who is a really talented trader does really well on their own accounts, give
Yeah.
them a little bit of capital to manage, and they just blow up. They
Ujú.
just can't deal with the risk and responsibility. So psychology is a huge factor, definitely, when it comes down to managing money. So I think, yeah, not all people can manage capital, but they can be really good traders on their own capital.
Ujú. Y esa aproximación, ¿no? Esa forma de verlo diferente de trader independiente a gestor, ¿tú crees que a día de hoy operarías igual? Es decir, si fueses independiente y tuvieses tu propio capital para operar, ¿crees que las diferencias serían muy grandes a la hora de operar en tu toma de decisiones? ¿O quizás solo habría detalles a nivel de cómo se introduce el capital, por ejemplo? Porque entiendo que teniendo 30 millones de euros o de dólares, tienes que insuflar ese dinero en el mercado, entonces no puedes hacerlo quizás en el mismo ritmo que como si tuvieses tu propio capital. ¿Esas decisiones crees que serían diferentes a nivel de gestión o a nivel de ejecución?
Well, I would definitely trade. I'm already implementing that in a certain way that I'm trading at higher risk settings for my own capital.
Ujú.
So that is the obvious change. Now, of course, when it comes to news trading, there are opportunities, actually a lot, sort of small opportunities where you can say trade, let's say, a NOK or a SEK and catch like a big mispricing because those events are not studied well, which you cannot do with 30 million and so on. So yeah, I could probably trade more aggressively those easy events with my own money only. That's the only real difference, and of course using more leverage, but yeah.
Ujú. Y mentalmente, ¿te afecta, por ejemplo, a día de hoy el tema de la operativa tal y como se puede expresar a nivel de inversión? Es decir, tú cuando operas y estás en un proceso, por ejemplo, de estancamiento o underwater o algo similar, ¿eso psicológicamente a día de hoy te afecta? ¿O es algo que llevas bien y estás acostumbrado a tolerar?
I think it used to affect me more. I think I'm in this I guess I'm slightly naturally gifted on this that I'm quite good at tolerating adversity, and
Ujú.
I by nature I'm quite optimistic personality. So so it has always helped me. Like I've always had a very short period of time, like rebounding from bad trades and so on, and to always had my eyes on the next opportunity and things like that. Of course, there are definitely a lot of painful moments, even this year. I don't think that those painful moments never ever go away. You are going to deal with them, but I don't think there would be anything fun in markets in the first place if there were no like painful moments and then like triumph after that. But yeah, I guess for me it has always kind of like as the track record has progressed and our work has progressed, the most fundamental thing in the background that always gives confidence is that we have evidence of 12 years of this working. We have practiced these events hard, trading them, practicing. We talked about how we research, but we didn't talk about the part how we study the implementation, use past events to practice to trade them. So it's kind of like you can imagine a footballer practicing their kicks. It's the same thing. That's a great thing about event trading that you can do that. So these kind of things I used to build the psychological confidence and deal with of course the pressure, because I think it's a really stupid assumption that there are like traders who don't these unemotional traders who just execute. I think that's complete bullshit. We are all humans. You just need to figure out processes to deal with the emotions and yeah.
Es increíble. Tengo un amigo, un day trader muy bueno, que dice que el trading para él siempre es insatisfactorio por el aspecto de si pierdes, si tienes una racha negativa, vas a estar insatisfecho porque quizás no has hecho todo lo que tenías que hacer bien, pero también lo es cuando logras tener profits porque siempre sabes que puedes hacerlo mejor. ¿Tú a día de hoy te sientes así? ¿Sientes que el trading a día de hoy es tan complejo por eso mismo? Porque es muy difícil quizás asociar resultadismo con comportamiento, porque tú tienes que hacerlo todo bien cada día, independientemente del resultado. Y más en tu caso que gestionas la cantidad de dinero que gestionas. ¿Cómo consigues hacer eso, ¿no? El hecho de mantener tu comportamiento y tu confianza en tu habilidad independientemente de lo que ocurra en los resultados?
Yeah, I think that's a very common problem in general. The, the I think that's integral, kind of like learning in trading, that you actually derive or learn. I think first of all, it takes time, because I've been like, I think years back, I also felt that way, kind of that, I should have made more money on this one. And then when I took a hit, I was like, even if I would rebound, it would be like an imbalance. And I think this is like psychologically quite well studied, Victor,
Yeah.
better than I do on this, but this phenomenon. But I think you can learn the sort of skill that when you see that you were making the right steps for your decision making, or you didn't, let's say something unfortunate happened, which probabilistically was very low probability, and it took your bet of, let's say, a random headline, which was a really great trade regardless. I've kind of learned to really, really appreciate and enjoy making right decisions instead of fretting about the profits or the losses. What I'm squarely where I derive nowadays most enjoyment is making great decisions, and yeah, if I can do that, I'm happy. Of course, it occasionally still happens that there might be some of course there's bound to be a lot of poor decisions as well. And then you kind of have to deal with them in the moment and diagnose why you made the poor decisions, and what you do different next time so that you don't make the poor decisions, and that's it.
Increíble. Y también me gustaría saber un poco tu versión a nivel de gestión de capital, ¿no? Porque seguramente muchos de los que están aquí escuchándonos te admiran de cierta manera por lo que has logrado a nivel de gestión de capital, de cómo has conseguido llegar a esa cantidad de dinero para gestionar. ¿Cómo fue ese proceso? Es decir, ¿ha sido rápido, lento para ti? ¿Cómo llegas a esa cantidad de confianza en inversores para poder llegar a gestionar 30 millones de euros o de dólares, como estás ahora?
Yeah, I already had well, back in 2015 to 2017, that was an amazing time to trade events, and I already had the process partially down back then when in 2017 we really grew in both our managed accounts and at Darwinex at first peak, and we had like really amazing risk-adjusted performance for past 3 years, because the regime had been so good, monetary policy divergence everywhere. You would have very decent volatility literally in all pairs, all economic data would move the events. So back then I kind of already had it down. Of course, when you have success builds confidence. But thereafter, we launched a usage fund in 2018 and volatility dried down. And quite frankly, I wasn't so well studied back then on technical sides of how much, what's the capacity of the strategy, how can they deal with different liquidity environments, how do you take profits in a very mean reverting sort of market regime. So I mean, I already built the confidence there, but I could see that I need to improve so many areas, and over the long run, if I stay persistent, I keep working on this thing will be successful. But of course you need to I needed to adapt and yeah.
Y cuando topas el riesgo en cada uno de los trades, por ejemplo, porque, repito, entiendo que es, tu mentalidad ahora estará muy ajustada por el tema de los inversores, pero mucha gente que son traders independientes se deben preguntar, ¿cada uno de tus trades tiene un riesgo predeterminado antes de entrar a mercado o es algo que ajustas en tiempo real? Por ejemplo, construyes la posición debido a la cantidad de dinero que gestionas en tiempo real. ¿Cómo se prepara eso? ¿Cómo se prepara uno de tus trades a nivel de riesgo?
I don't want to again maybe not go too much into the details to not
Ok.
kind of but reveal the secret sauce. But like I said, we have all the risk settings are always predetermined. They are set in stone. So let's say we have a high conviction event, we have certain risk settings for those. The maximum absolute risk we would go is around 2.5% with current risk framework. I don't think such a signal has occurred for actually since 2022. But yeah, that's the absolute maximum risk we could go on a single bet. Now, vast majority of our bets are in the range of 0.1% to 0.45% risk per event. Yeah, we trade quite conservative risk because yeah, we think that the sort of risk-adjusted returns, that's the best way we can maintain sort of the best possible risk-adjusted returns. I think that even though we have beaten S&P over the long run, I think our job is to manage risk, and that's the whole point of running a strategy like this. Like in terms of thinking about the product, where do you want a strategy like this? You want it somewhere in a portfolio, let's say stocks and maybe real estate, whatever, crypto, because it really balances completely uncorrelated. So something like this that has, we can do still well in lower volatility environments, but once the volatility picks up, our drawdowns don't, but our returns go significantly higher. So that's the really compelling part of the way we trade.
Qué bueno. Y he estudiado un poco bastante tu Darwin. Al final tú mencionabas el hecho de tener referentes y, por supuesto, cualquiera que queramos hacer buen trading, tenemos que mirar el tuyo. Y como estáis viendo aquí en pantalla, ya lo has explicado un poco a lo largo de la conversación, pero me gustaría indagar un poco más. Ha habido un cambio bastante grande en cuanto a, creo que el leverage, lo hablo de memoria, pero el leverage asumido quizás los primeros años, el que estás asumiendo ahora, y así como el número de trades, ¿no? La exposición que quizás tenías antes a nivel de trades era mayor que la que tienes ahora. Y si me equivoco lo veréis en el gráfico, pero te hago la pregunta. Estos cambios que has ido haciendo han sido debido más a la gestión de capital, es decir, tener tanto volumen implica cambios, a nivel de paz mental también, porque hacer menos trades implica tener quizás ser más sniper, estar más focalizado en los trades que mejor valoras, o ha sido una cuestión quizás de cambio de mercado, de la volatilidad, de que no es el entorno adecuado.
So I think back in 2021 we had a bad, or I had a bad drawdown because I was trading back then myself, and I felt that I really needed to work on the implementation. I felt that the concepts really, the trade ideas worked, and something needs to change in terms of the risk-adjusted returns. And that's actually when Antti, our analyst, joined. And after that, we have been like trading with the more conservative risk because we could say that certain events or I was risking too much on certain events which weren't that good signals, and there was too much trading on many occasions in relation to the signals. So we really have done a deep dive on the past trades before that, studying what constitutes actually a great signal, when should we trade. So that definitely changed since 2021. I think we've been trading on the master account with like a drawdown of 5% since it came, and I do think that the sort of at VAR 6.5%, the maximum drawdown should be definitely single digits the way we trade. And now you are correct to point out that also the regime has a big impact. So we have been in a low volatility regime since 2023. So in that kind of environment, you are not, you don't want to push and trade every single event because there is just fewer opportunities. Yeah. That being said, there have been a couple of big miss outs. Like in a year like this, you still have a couple of great macro opportunities. And for us, I think we got stopped by 2 pips or something on the Bank of Japan event on July, which after that yen moved down literally in a straight line 1,000 pips. So when I was talking about painful experiences, of course we also have that was quite painful. But yeah, you still have opportunities in different regimes, but you have fewer. What I know from our studies of history that the regimes they always change because news change. So that gives me confidence that, of course there will be a different regime. We are now in this regime. So I'm not, you just have to stay persistent. I think many traders, when the regime changes, what happens to them? They think it doesn't work. They think that they cannot somehow adapt, and then they give up because it's psychologically so painful to see. What the hell is happening? I used to be profitable and doing really well, and now. But there's inherent logic to these things, and that's why I think the fundamental understanding of the background is so important, so that you understand and you have the confidence to last through different regimes.
Sí, esto que acabas de decir me parece algo que quizás pasa por alto en muchas personas, pero de verdad me gustaría resaltarlo, porque yo me he encontrado a muchos traders muy ganadores durante un periodo relativamente corto de tiempo, por ejemplo, 2, 3, 4 años. Quizás, por ejemplo, en 2020, en 2021, especialmente en small caps, por ejemplo, he visto a muchos traders que generaron muchísimo dinero, pero que luego quizás perdían cierto edge en el mercado porque el entorno de mercado cambiaba y por lo tanto no podían quizás adaptarse tan rápidamente a las nuevas condiciones. Y lo he visto en otros mercados, pero lo que más me viene a la cabeza es eso. Hay otros Darwins incluso que también he visto que le han podido pasar eso, ¿no? ¿Crees que de alguna manera la capacidad que puedes desarrollar tú o puedes haber desarrollado tú, o crees que es importante esa capacidad de adaptación? Porque muchos traders pueden ganar durante un par de años, pero ganar durante años, entendiendo que habrá momentos en los que tendrás mejores resultados y otros que tendrás que estar asumiendo que hay que confiar en que en el futuro vendrán de nuestros resultados, esa adaptabilidad, esa capacidad de no cambiar nada en el proceso, ¿es un punto clave, tú crees?
Absolutely, it is. I think that's something that, over the long run, if you want to prosper in markets, you need to figure out a way to deal with regime changes. So somebody who is really passionate about market and you have a single edge, you need to be working on, expanding your edge. You just cannot rely that the edge will work forever, that you can trade a certain pattern. I think it's very infrequent that somebody had discovered, or maybe, in 80s and 90s, obviously there were a ton more patterns even, but those are getting traded out because, let's say, for example, in FX, 80% of volumes are algorithmic. So, and there's very smart people trying to do the really same thing, finding those patterns. So I think it's a highly difficult thing to do. So that's why you kind of need to work on expanding your edge. That's still great thing about trading, that you are constantly, it's the ultimate sort of self-improvement in a sense that you should be learning all the time and working to learn, and you should be enjoying the process of learning and distancing, like we talked earlier, distancing yourself from the result, and kind of staying focused on the learning process.
¿Podrías, no sé si lo tienes preparado, pero podrías compartir, seguramente mucha gente quiere verlo, si no igual me lo puedes pasar después, pero seguramente la gente quiere ver algún tipo de entrada tuya típica. ¿Tendrías a mano algún tipo de setup clásico que tú puedas llegar a utilizar, que se pueda compartir?
Well, I don't have a setup per se ready, and I think like based on past experience, I prefer to be a little bit more conservative.
Okay.
Sharing what we do, but we actually launched a research sort of experiment couple of weeks back. You can find that on Substack, where you can read our Fed preview and Fed review, what we actually did. You can go see our trades. Actually, on the day, I think we made like 0.3%. It was like a low conviction event for us, the Fed to trade. But I mean, you can kind of see probably there, like kind of how we view the markets from a fundamental perspective. Now that does not cover the technical side, which is like the technical side is incredibly important as well. All the positioning we studied is, I think, the fundamental thing is that your trade ideas come from the fundamentals. The direction of the markets comes from the fundamentals, and from the technicals you execute your risk management, your entry points, and so on. And this is very important way of approaching them as for us. But we prefer not to share that information.
No problem, absolutely, absolutely. Vale, también me gustaría, para ir orientando esto hacia el final, lo digo porque seguramente mucha gente quiere saber más, ¿no?, de todo lo que haces. Entonces, si a ti te parece bien, también me gustaría que en el futuro, quizás poco a poco, a medida que pase el tiempo, poder hacer otras sesiones en las cuales quizás vamos un poco más en detalle en algunos conceptos, ¿no? Por ejemplo, el tema de la gestión, tema de estrategia, que seguro que mucha gente se pregunta, ¿vale? ¿Eso crees que sería posible?
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, it would be a huge pleasure.
Great, great. Entonces, si te parece, pasamos al punto que creo que también mucha gente está interesada, en el que está muy interesada mucha gente, que es en el de cómo aprender, en el de la formación, ¿vale? Porque como te mencionaba al principio, y como tú has pasado también un poco por encima, es muy difícil aprender. Al final tú fuiste un poco autodidacta, tuviste que buscar referentes. A día de hoy, por suerte, está eso, ¿no? Están los track records en Darwinex. Tú puedes ver a gente como tú que está exponiendo, mostrando sus resultados en tiempo real, y esos son grandes referentes. A día de hoy eso es posible, y te quería preguntar qué consejos le darías a la gente a la hora de formarte, porque tú y yo hemos hablado en alguna ocasión y mencionabas la idea de que incluso te podrías llegar a plantear eso, ¿no?, esa posibilidad. ¿Crees que eso es posible? ¿Qué consejos les darías a la gente a la hora de formarse y aprender lo que haces tú?
Yeah, my first thought on trading education is just not lest you be just. But I think there are definitely um, people out there who have done it with the track record, and who can prove and what they have done, who can teach and pass that knowledge to people, to new traders. I think that's valuable. I think that's really great. Prop traders have obviously, since past 3 years, they have proliferated. So I think it's great that those who have actually made profits are teaching. But then, of course, there is a lot who haven't, and so on. But yeah, we have had a look into the space specifically because the whole event trading is a complete black box on news trading, the public, full of misconceptions. And kind of because we know that what we would like to get based on our experience working with different traders, we know what kind of trader would fit, what kind of traders would fit our team. And it's just that we don't have the time ourselves, and quite frankly, we don't want to pay for teaching the skill that we think should be the other way around. So we have been thinking about it because many of the concepts, like I said earlier, work in different markets. Generally, you can approach the way we trade monetary policy. You can approach trading a certain news headline based on that. For example, just a month ago, one of the biggest macro opportunities whole year was in China when they announced a huge stimulus package, but we hadn't analyzed, and we don't trade Chinese stocks. But definitely something where we could have expanded on. So we would love to sort of, over the long run, figure out a great way to train traders, and we've been talking with Darwinex about potential cooperation here, because what we would like to provide is something sort of a general framework for trading the events, see who performs, create a track record in Darwinex, who performs, who does well, who demonstrates that you can apply our trading rules. and then then you get more from us, you get more help, you get access to our information, calls, and then we'll kind of, because we know um, what it takes to sort of, what kind of, how do you foster
Yeah.
talent, how do you ensure that the trader who might be successful, how does he deal with psychology, how does he take risks to certain signals? So all these things we would be looking to of course incorporate into it if we decide to go this road, um, so that we would find the best talent trading per our rules.
Ujú. Sí, además yo esto lo he hablado con muchas otras personas que, ostras, yo pienso que sería increíble, no sé si cómo lo ves tú, el poder disponer de referentes correctos, como tú en este caso, para poder no solo aprender lo que haces tú exactamente, porque entiendo que esto es muy personal, ¿no? Y cada uno tiene que, como dices tú, encajar con cada una de las operativas, porque cada uno tiene su perfil, sino más bien una idea de entender que hay diferentes profesionales que dan formación y que de los cuales puedes aprender muchísimo. Y es ahí donde el camino se vuelve mucho más rápido, porque tienes diferentes perfiles que hacen diferentes cosas de manera genial, en todos casos, y de los cuales puedes extraer muchísimo conocimiento, ¿no? Y eso acorta mucho el camino. ¿Crees que sería posible? ¿Tú crees que eso es viable en tu caso, el hecho de poder ofrecer algo similar, el hecho de incluirte dentro de esa formación, a la vez operar, todo eso lo que conlleva?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the way we would approach it, this would be taking our existing materials and polishing them, of course, to a product that would be valuable, ensuring, and then ensuring that there is value. But then, of course, we would have a process to weed through the traders. Our main goal would be actually to not kind of fully step into the space, but to find great traders in a way that we don't have to directly do the work of teaching them, like self-intrinsically motivated traders who do the work themselves, prove them if they would like to join our trading and have a create a track record of trading. Because what we found out, for example, that even you can teach trading to someone who is very successful, but it might be still difficult, for example, to follow your own self-set rules. So that would be like a huge red flag, and we would love. You need to see it in practice. How does somebody trade before you start actually working with them? So for us, it would be the main purpose would be expanding our horizon kind of in an innovative way. And of course, there is the business opportunity that, of course, we would look to make money out of it as well, since nobody is offering a product like that. So there is two flies at same goal. But for me, in terms of time, I would prepare the material with our team, but it wouldn't be like a full step into the education game. That's not the goal here. I want to be trading myself. I love trading. That's and I just want to develop our sort of team and knowledge so that we have more people trading the same kind of rules in different markets, different events, because I know that they work on different markets as well.
Sí, yo cuando escucho a gente como tú, ¿no? A perfiles como el tuyo que han tenido éxito dentro del trading, siempre intento hacerles ver eso, ¿no? El hecho de, y relacionado con el tema de las redes sociales que hemos dicho antes, hoy en día hay mucho vendehumos, no sé cómo se puede traducir esto, pero al final hay mucha gente que está engañando a otras personas que son formadores y que engañan directamente a la audiencia. Y cuando veo perfiles como el tuyo, con track record, que entiendo que es difícil insertarte en el mundo de la formación, pero creo que poco a poco tenemos que ir haciendo como comunidad una especie de lugar en el que la gente pueda sentirse segura a la hora de aprender, ¿no? Por eso cuando tengo la oportunidad de hablar con alguien como tú, intento incentivar, ¿no? Decir, oye, hay que hacer algo ya no solo por motivos económicos, que también, obviamente, porque mucha gente no entiende a día de hoy todavía que el trading es una actividad de renta variable y que hacer otras cosas, ya sea formación o otras cosas, es importante, sino que además es una cuestión también filosófica, ¿no? De moral, de, oye, tú eres un trader, tú quieres que se respete tu trabajo, quizás hacer formación y enseñar a una nueva generación de traders también es útil para hacer eso, ¿no? Para limpiar la industria. No sé si piensas igual.
First of all, thank you for the kind words, Victor. Obviously, I think as a disclaimer, you know the space significantly better than I do. Like I said earlier, um, haven't studied how it is in social media. I can imagine it is like that, though. Obviously, trading is kind of. It took me years, for example, because Finland is not exactly
Yeah.
a place where
Yeah.
there are a lot of traders. It took me years to disclose what I'm doing. Obviously, there would be the small group of people who would be really like into it, but oftentimes I would just pass that topic and tell everyone that I'm a businessman
Yeah.
instead,
Yeah.
so as
Yeah.
to avoid the whole
It's easier. Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is a bad rap. It's very interesting because there is always, I guess, there is in Finland, for example, there was back in 2000 this huge, enormous FX scam. And everybody knows FX market only from that call. It was called Wing Capital, like you would. It was like a basic Ponzi scheme. A lot of people
Oh yeah.
lost a lot of money on that. But that's kind of the normal way that people think about trading. So of course, it is nice if sort of in the retail space you know it was a little bit more professional, I guess. And since I kind of like we are at the stage last year we had been thinking about do we push for full institutional setup? Do we just ignore it? Or do we kind of want to just focus at Darwinex and just focus on our trading processes and doing something maybe a bit different? We came up to the conclusion that we want to do something a little bit different, so sharing more of our knowledge and something like that in terms of our research. And since we started in the retail space, or I started in the retail space, came from a very unconventional background. And although I, of course, I know the institutional world really well as well, and it's something that is part of it. But yeah, of course, the retail world is very close to my heart as well. So if we can do something there, then that would be great. And of course, over the long run, I think for us, always the primary goal will be finding hopefully great traders to trade for us and with us, with the rules and the findings that we have done.
That would be
But
amazing.
that being said, of course, one important point is that you cannot disclose your full edge. So hopefully
Absolutely.
one reason where you do need the money, for example, we would want to get our NDAs to the level of Bridgewater style, where the top traders obviously cannot pass our edge and they work for us, and so that they don't, because talent walking away is a huge problem in this industry. So that's one of the angles on it, so that if there's many good things if we decide to do it. That being said, like you said, if the space is like that, it comes with its risks. But I mean, there are several. You can think even Warren Buffett, Howard Marks, that they are kind of educators with their letters. Peter Lynch released books, so I don't think it's like it's not like there are credible people doing it as well.
I totally agree. Ok, para acabar, me gustaría, no sé si has visto alguna vez la película de Regreso al Futuro, Back to the Future, The Movie, pero yo soy muy fan y siempre hago la analogía de, imaginemos que puedes coger un DeLorean y puedes volver al pasado, ¿no? A ese 2012, 2013, cuando estabas jugando al World of Warcraft, sabiendo lo que sabes a día de hoy, ¿qué le dirías al Aatu de entonces para que pudiese llegar al punto en el que estás ahora antes?
Yeah, I think stay patient and persistent. I think that's those two things are for 20-year-old the best advice you can give.
Totalmente, totalmente. Y ya para acabar, ¿crees que la gente, por ejemplo, que nos esté escuchando, si quiere saber más de ti, voy a dejar las redes sociales, no sé si te mueves mucho por ello, pero ¿hay algún lugar en el que crees que la gente puede llegar a seguirte, aparte de Darwinex? Te pondré tu Darwin aquí. ¿Alguna forma de contactarte en el caso de que tengan, no sé, preguntas o algún sitio donde seguirte a nivel de redes sociales?
Yeah, I think at the time this gets released, we actually have our website finally, something that has been worked for 6 months, operational. So there you can learn more about us, our story. Then we also are taking baby steps in sharing our research at Substack. Substack is like a really nice new blog type of. It's not really a blog platform. It's like there's a lot of. I found myself several very great authors web from learned a lot, even from macro trading their way of thinking. So it's a great platform. There we are sharing our research. Now, when it comes to social media, we are not too active at social media. We prefer to take gradual steps at the time instead of doing a million things at once. So if we judge that there is value from social media,
Mhm.
we will do it.
Mhm.
But at the moment, we have not done enough background work to get into the social media sort of
Ok.
game.
Ok, perfecto. Pues de verdad, Tatu, ha sido un placer. Gracias por haber estado aquí. Espero que la gente haya recibido, como espero que lo hayan hecho, todo el valor que has aportado. Como te he dicho antes, en el caso de que hubiese la oportunidad, intentaré trabajar en esa dirección, que pudiésemos hacer algo juntos en el futuro, algo quizás más concreto, porque seguro que la gente tiene muchas ganas de ver algo concreto tuyo, alguna forma de que tienes de operar, algo así. Así que si en el futuro nos volvemos a ver, espero que te hayas estado a gusto, que estés a gusto igual que has estado hoy y que de verdad que ha sido un placer.
Yeah, muchas gracias, Victor. Definitely looking forward to further discussions and collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor.
Bye.